Welcome back to the Concrete House. Today, we're going to take a look at how we made these modern patio chairs out of affordable hardware store lumber. My wife had found these chairs from a high-end furniture retailer that we really liked. The only problem was they were around $1,500 each. So we decided to see if we could build our own for a fraction of the cost. I started out by hopping on SketchUp and CAD designing the chairs so I could figure out the proper dimensions and the amount of lumber we would need. We are going to be using 2x3s and 3/4 by 5.5 inch boards to make the chairs. So let's get started by building the side supports first. I set the saw to 45 degrees to make the miter cuts. This gets us 4 29-inch pieces and 4 24-inch pieces. Now I'm marking the center of the miter cut ends so I can align them into the dowel drilling jig. Once that's done, I align it to the mark on the jig and clamp it in place to drill the holes. I'm using a 3/8-inch drill bit and some painter's tape to help drill each hole to the proper depth. Once that was done for each of the ends, we can move on to cutting these 2 slots out of the rear upright supports. As you can see here on the finished chair, this is where the back support slats fit into so they are flush with the side supports. To cut out the slots, I am using a 3/4 inch rabbiting router bit. I measured a mark at 2.5 inches and 12.25 inches and used the router to carve that section out. Now we need to drill the dowel holes in all the places that the side supports connect to the seat and backrest. Here, 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 and here. I'm using the 3/8-inch dowel drill jig for the frame holes and a 5/16-inch bit on the drill press for the smaller backrest slat dowels. Again, I'm using tape to gauge the proper depth. Once all of the holes have been drilled, we can add a bit of glue and dowel. Here, I'm applying a generous amount of glue to the miter cut face before attaching it. First, I align the dowels into the holes and then use a rubber mallet to hammer them tightly together. I did this for the remaining joints and used a wet rag to wipe away excess glue. The whole assembly was clamped tightly together and left to dry. The same process was used for the second side. Time to build the seat. No more miter cuts are needed as these are all straight cuts. Again, I'm using the router to cut the slots where the seat boards will rest on. The slot runs the full length of the board. I used the 5/16 jig to drill the dowel holes in the seat boards and the 3/8 for the frame. Time for the gluing and assembly time lapse. I clamped it all up and let it dry. Next, I will be adding a center support 2x3 to help take up some of the weight when sitting on the seat slats. I spread glue on each end and screwed it in place. The last pieces we need to cut are the back slats and top frame board. These are also straight cuts. However, we do need to rip the 5.5-inch boards down to 3.5 inch on the table saw. These also get the dowel hole treatment, and then we are ready for final assembly. Cue the time lapse in 3, 2, 1, go. I wiped away the excess glue and clamped it all together one last time. Once it had dried, it was time to sand. After sanding was done, I used semi-transparent deck stain to help protect the chair from the elements. Using a foam brush, I coated all of the surfaces of the chair, let it dry, and then applied a second coat. After the stain had dried, I flipped the chair upside down and added rubber feet to help keep the wood from directly contacting the patio surface. All that was left to do was put the cushions in place. You can use any 24 by 24 inch cushion with a low back. There are many colors and options to choose from online. Thanks for watching, and we will be building a matching side table on the next video. See you then!